meaning that for young people to be included politically, they have to really attract it. For us to really be involved in politics or in leadership, we have to attract it. We have to deserve it. No matter how much we agitate, no matter how much we really demand for it, it's not going to come to us until we deserve it. And there's a clear distinction between political participation and participation in governance. And what most young people really misunderstood about this concept is that once they are not involved in politics, they cannot be involved in governance. And governance is a broader perspective, because you can actually participate in governance even if you are not contesting, even if you are not actively participating in politics. Though politics is part of governance, but we should not restrict our participation to politics while we have abundant opportunities to participate and influence governance, and we are not doing that. So what I would like to say, no matter how much we agitate for political inclusion, that will not be enough. And let's look at an example of the recent agitation, the one that we call Not Too Young to Run. It's a bill that reduces the running age. I mean, if you want to become president, now at the age of 35, you can become president, just to reduce the number of age. Because we've seen in 2019 election how other factors limited youth participation in politics, ranging from expensive political system we have. Most young people can't afford the political expenses. And myself, I ran for election for House of Rep, and I know what it takes to really run for election in a country like this. It takes a lot of resources, and not every young person has these resources to expend just to contest in an election. And not just reducing the age, but also reducing the cost and educating people to understand that when it comes to election, it's not about the highest bidder. It's about the person with the biggest idea. So that's the first challenge, even if we have this open space to participate in politics, but it may not be given because of these challenges. And the senior generation that have been there for quite a long time, they may not want to give up easily. They might say, okay, you can contest, but they may not support you. They may not support us, and they will make sure that they stay longer in that position. They will use all their influence to be there. This is another challenge that we have to also face. And if we can really agitate for reduction of age to contest an election, we can also contest or agitate for certain allocation of ministerial appointments and other government appointments to be given to the young people. And like election or participation in governance is not limited to only contesting in a political position, but also in political appointment, like the ministerial appointment, boards, and other agency appointments. So we can also come up with another bill that says maybe 30% of board appointments, ministerial appointments must be given to the youth. And when I talk about youth here, I talk about the real youth that fall within the ages of 18 and 35, as enshrined in the African Youth Charter and the Nigerian Youth Policy. And that's another challenge for us. Let's go and challenge our leaders to give us this allocation in ministerial appointment and other political appointments. For us to attract this kind of political recognition and political trust from our senior generation, we also have to influence governance, even if you are not given the political position. If you are not appointed minister, if you are not elected member, House of Rep or Assembly, that doesn't mean you don't have opportunity to really influence governance. Because we can influence governance even from the outside. Even if you are not elected, there is something you can do to change governance. And we can even start by influencing, let's say, budget. Young people can come together and influence how budget is designed and how it's implemented. And are we doing that? We have to demonstrate the capacity, the ability to lead from the outside before we can build the trust that we can be elected, we can be trusted with political responsibility. And that's the challenge. If you look at the current situation now, you can see a lot of trust deficit. When you look at the ministerial appointment, I think you cannot find the real definition of the youth there. Because the real youth, as defined by most of us, we know this in our policy, it says someone younger than the age of 35. And can you point at someone who is younger than the age of 35 in the federal cabinet? No. And when was the last time we had someone, and how many of them since 1999 that we are in the federal cabinet that we are aged below 35? I don't think you can count more than 2. And that's the kind of representation we have as young people. And that tells you the trust deficit. And that's the biggest challenge. And I think to me, it's not about competition between the younger generation and the senior generation. Because we are just doing a race in the same team. We belong to the same team. Because our team is Nigeria. And everyone wants to participate, want to contribute, want to serve the country. So it's not about, I have to do it, you are not going to do it. So we are all fighting for something, the same thing. So we are in the same team, and if you do your own run, you need to pass the baton to the next team member. So it's not something that you have to keep doing by yourself, even when you are tired. You run, but you're losing energy, you are losing strength, and you're still running. You are ruining the team. You are defeating the objective of the team. So pass it to the person with the energy. Young people, we have this exuberance, we have this creativity, we have this explorative mind. We want to explore things, we want to try new things, and that's what Nigeria really needs now. We have to move away from the old way of doing things and to new way of doing things and solving our problems, because problems that exist in Nigeria require new solutions, and only young people can really do that. But like I said, my perspective is we have to be ready to attract it. And our readiness comes, I would say, from maybe 5 perspectives. I would say for us to really attract political trust or influence governance, we have to first build our capacity. You see, young people always want to contest an election, always want to lead, they are always in the front, they want political recognition, they want political position, but they themselves, they are not prepared. They don't have the capacity. They didn't even have the good quality education, and they are always clamoring for position. So success in life is not determined by the position you hold, but by the difference you make in your own life and the lives of other people. Like what Bilkisi is doing right now. It's another clear example of this kind of leadership. So we have to lead ourselves. How do you lead ourselves? By improving our capacity. That's how we become ready. And we have to also change our character. Most young people nowadays, the reason why we have this political trust deficit is that a lot of questions around our character. Our character needs to be shaped. We need to have upright character for us to really attract this political trust. And we also have to create the right values. Value and character are related, because what is value? What do you hold dear? What do you see and say this is good? This is what you respect. What do you see and say this is not good? I don't value this. Nowadays, young people, we only cherish money. We go for money, as long as, no matter what it takes, we go for it. And that's the wrong value, I think, in my own perspective, that's the wrong value. I know money is good, but sometimes we have to do things that are not directly targeted at the money. For example, you can do something to solve a problem or to change something inside you that doesn't necessarily directly attract money to you, but indirectly the money will be coming to you. But if you become like so desperate and greedy, that's also a problem, and that's why we are not recognized politically. And this is a big challenge. And then for us to really have that readiness, we have to be united. We've been having this problem, prayer, you know that, young leadership, even in Nigeria, for us to come together and have a single leadership, it becomes a problem. Then how can we be trusted? And this is something we have to begin, we have to start from within ourselves before we go to the next step. And we have to be our brother's keepers. What happens to me, it affects you. Even if you are from the other part of the country. It doesn't mean that if it affects the people from the south, you say you are from this side of the country, you didn't care. So we have to stand and fight for each other. Together, we are stronger. But when we create platforms separate, even in 2019 election, we've seen how young people we are really divided. We are asked to produce a political party, and we produce how many political parties? Like 10 political parties. Use this, use that, use this. Everyone is, we don't even know where to belong. And that's how we divide ourselves, and that's how we become weakened. And like I said, we have to attract trust, we have to attract the leadership for it to come to ourselves. Other people that have done it in other countries, they have done it because they made difference in their lives and the lives of the society. So what we need to do is ask yourself this question: what can you do to solve a problem? And it doesn't mean that your whole life will always be doing politics. You need to be creative entrepreneur. You need to be a creative entrepreneur. Young people, we have this creativity. Let's channel our energy and creativity toward entrepreneurship. We can lead in that perspective. Because most people, you ask them, okay, contest an election. You don't even have the resource. You have not made any difference. But first, let's channel that creativity and energy toward entrepreneurship and toward accountability. How can we hold government accountable in budgets, for example, in spendings? How can we hold our reps and our senators accountable? Have we ever had this kind of arrangement or this kind of movement for accountability together as young people? Like I said, we don't have to really come inside the pitch for us really to play the game. It's not like a football game. It's not like a football pitch where you have to be in there to play the game. You can play the game from outside. So even if you are a minister, even if you are an elected rep or senator, you can still play the game. From the outside, you can influence governance, like I've been saying. So my target is to redirect our focus from political participation to participation in governance. Like myself right now, I'm a lecturer in the university, and I think that's one of the noble things one can do to really impact and invest in the lives of the younger generation, to inspire them. And at the same time, that wouldn't stop me from talking about these kind of things in this forum, where we can educate and inspire people to really do something to shape our governance, or to come up with initiative, or to participate in movements that will really hold our leaders accountable. And we've been saying we want leadership, we want position, we want to be senators, we want to be reps, we want to be this and that. And that's just a tool. If you are elected president, that's just a tool. To do what? If I give you a car, what will you do with the car? To go where? You don't have destination, you don't have direction. What will you do with that car? Nothing. You just start roaming around, wandering around. You don't have direction. And as long as we want to participate in politics, we have to have our agenda. And what is a collective youth agenda in Nigeria? No one can tell you. So for us to participate or influence governance or involve in politics, we have to come up with our own ideology, with our own principles, that this is what we stand for. And this should be a common agreement among young people that this is our policy. Just like other parties are having their manifesto, we should all have our agenda as young people in Nigeria, because the future is for us. We are all talking about the future because you want to save us. And that we are the ones to live in the future. And what do you want to see in our future? Do you have that document? Do you have that agenda? Is it a common consensus? Do you have leadership that really lead us in this agenda? So this is the first challenge for us to really participate either in governance or in politics. If you don't have an agenda, if you're elected president, you don't do anything because you are given this tool, but you don't know what to do with it. If you are given the mic to talk and you don't have anything to say, you just remain silent. So the president is just like the mic. And the agenda is like the ideas you want to share. If they give you the mic and you don't have ideas to share, it's no. Right? It doesn't make sense. So what is the idea? What is the agenda before we get into position? So that we want to get into politics because we want to actualize this. And what is this? We don't have it yet. And that's why I said, young people, we are not ready yet. But it's not late because we now discover this and we can prepare. And the idea is always think in the way you can participate from the outside of the politics, because governance is broad. Where you are now, the spectrum of the governance has already reached you. So you can influence governance from wherever you are. Even if you are not in the National Assembly, even if you are not sitting as a governor, you can influence it. And as much as you want to attract the political trust or participation, you also have to somehow demand for it. Because like most people say, yes, nothing is given. Power is not given until it's demanded. So let us demand for it. That's why even in the 2019 election, we had this movement of young leaders. We went around the country encouraging young people to participate, and we unite our vote together. Because we have the largest young electorates in the world. There's no country in the world where you have larger proportion of the electorates, young people, like the way we have it in Nigeria. And that's a strength. And this is not reflecting in the political positions, including the elected positions and the appointed position. And that means we are not really tapping into our strengths. And that's why I said we have to demand for it. Let young people contest, but not everyone should contest. I'm sure now if you ask young people now to produce a single candidate to contest for election in Nigeria and the young people will unite their vote for that person, you will have crisis. Everyone will say, I'm the one. Because there's no trust, there's no leadership. And it has to really start from us. We have to unite, we have to trust ourselves. So we have to come up with mechanism that will strengthen this unity and trust among ourselves first. Because once we are divided, there's no way we can get it. So contest in election, young people, and unite our votes together, and then support our young people that are putting themselves up there. I understand we have challenges. Even if you want to participate in politics, we have lack in development. When we are supposed to be contesting the election, at the same time you are struggling to set up a family, that's when you are struggling to get a job. That's sometimes some of us really want to even finish from university. And it becomes very problematic. And that's why you see society, our society is just like this, that young people cannot become leaders easily like this because they are struggling with development challenges. Development challenges is what withhold us from really putting ourselves up there, because we had to fix ourselves first before we try to put ourselves up there to support other people. And of course, the expensive nature of the politics is always standing on our way. And the senior generation, with due respect to them, they always want to sideline us. And we should not blame them alone. We should also blame ourselves because we are not ready. We have to attract them. There are many young people who are now involved in politics, in governance. Why? Because they have something that have contributed that really attract that position to them. And then you ask yourself, what are you doing to attract that position? And no matter the challenges we face, we have a lot of opportunities. In our generation, like I said, we have the numbers, we have the energy, we have this social media tool. Our social media is the greatest platform that has ever existed in the world, that we can leverage to change any politics, to change any governance. But unless we become that united, that will not be of any use to us. And we have technology, we have freedom of speech. Freedom of speech enables us to discuss this freely, and no one is coming to really abduct us or put us in prison, because we have right to speak, we have right to challenge, we have right to criticize respectfully. And that's the patriotism to our country, to our own generation, because our generation is now, our time is now. Now, if we are not really given the chance to really partake in the nation building, then when are we going to do that? When we have this full energy, that's when you need to really tap into it. But you don't just start using your phone when the battery is low, when you don't have the capacity to use it. When the best time to use your phone is when it is fully charged, right? And you don't want to start using people when they lose their mental strength, when they lose their physical strength, and say, come and build this strong country, this problematic country. You need energy there. You need brilliance. You need exuberance sometimes. You need revolution. You need new ideas, because new problems are imagined every single day, and you need new solutions to them. And the best generation that's supposed to rule this country nowadays are the youth. And I'm telling you, the good news is you can still rule, you can still lead, even if you are not appointed or elected, because you can be out there and influence someone in governance. We can come out with our own strategy. How are you going to influence governance? Politics does not stop from the election year. We can still continue with our politics even beyond the political year. And what are you doing after 2019? We just slept. We just went back home and we're sleeping, because no politics. Those people that are putting themselves to contest an election, you don't see them again, because there is no position at stake. But let us see agitation. Let us see a lot of protest, a lot of talk and action in the area of governance, even if we are not in the election year. That is to show that we are serious. But we cannot mean serious when we only partake in politics when position is at stake. When there is a position, I might get position, I become active. But when there is no position, you become inactive. So for position to come to you, you have to be proactive and active all the time. And that's my call to you. And I want Billy to be the rallying point here, this meeting, where we can really start thinking about how can we start the new activism? How can we start new influence that can really change governance and politics in Nigeria? We have this opportunity because the future is not guaranteed. The future holds a lot of uncertainties, and we cannot guarantee whether we are going to be prosperous in the future. And we are the ones to inherit this future. And what can we just let the senior generation really risk our future, and we just fold our hands and just watch things happen? That cannot happen. So we have challenge. We have to take responsibility, and all of us, we have to partake in it. There's no sideline. No one will say, I am not a politician, I have my job, I'm okay. And sometimes the people that we're supposed to even bring up and contest position may not necessarily be the ones that put themselves up there. We might identify young people with integrity, with value, that make difference in different areas, and ask them to come out and contest, even if they're not interested. We support them. Most of them that you see putting themselves becoming so desperate because they are desperate for position, not because they are desperate for solving problems. And if you really want to make change and become that leader, and you trust you with our vote, you have to show to us what have you done in your own self first, and then in the lives of other people. Mostly we think the only life we live is our own life, but there are other people. What Billy is doing in her foundation is a clear demonstration of this kind of gesture. What you stretch your hand and touch other people's life. And that's demonstration of leadership. If you can demonstrate that, then we can entrust you with more public responsibility. And that's the challenge. But the main idea is this unity and common agenda. And I think with this can serve as motivation, as a sparking thought that we can really go home and start thinking about it and start becoming proactive. We have social media. We don't even have to really come here and talk every single day, but we can have platforms. We have the stream media. We have the social media. We can really put forward this kind of action together, you know. And I hope, but lastly, I think I would like to commend Bilkisu. Honorable Bilkisu, she's doing great. I've been seeing her. I think the first time I recognized her work was when she was putting up some things on LinkedIn and sharing photos of people that have problems with health problems, educational problems, and she was asking people to contribute. And I said, wow, who is doing this? Caring about people and bringing other people, giving other people the opportunity to support other people. And I think that's the kind of things we need. And I think Bilkisu, she's really a great model, someone that we can look up to, someone that we can emulate. And that's kind of leadership we need to have. And Bilkisu, what she is doing is the attraction of the leadership, is the attraction of the politics, is the attraction of trust. If she can keep doing this, that means she can be entrusted with bigger responsibility to really help society at large. If you can do it with no resource, then you can do it with all the resources. But if you cannot do it with no resource, then you cannot do it with all the resources. And set the right vision. Young people, be focused. Then start doing this, stop, and start doing this and that. And my last word is, we should stop competing against each other. We should be competing within ourselves. How can you be better than what you were before? That's the growth. Always we should aim for growth. Because if we aim for goal, we are not aiming for the growth. Even if we get to the goal, we fall down. We'll stay long there. How many people have achieved their goals, but they couldn't stick there longer? So aim for growth. Make difference. Always make yourself better than what you were yesterday. And that's how you keep growing. Don't look at someone else, how the other person is growing, but how are you growing? And support each other. Be brothers keepers. Thank you so much.
We're standing here, sir.
Oh, really?
Yes, sir.